Greetings everyone, and thank you for taking some time to check out the 2021 Brooktrails Open layout at the Brooktrails Golf Course located in Willits, California. My name is Joseph Haggard, course designer and assistant TD to the Brooktrails Open. Levi Fagundes is the club president of the Basket Beaters Disc Golf Club, who helped to build this course and served as the tournament TD. I'd like to thank our event sponsors, Emerald Spirit Botanicals, Willits Roofing, UFO's Disc Golf Club, San Francisco Disc Golf Club, Flying Lynx Disc Golf, Napa Auto Parts, Flying Dog Pizza, Shawnee Pub, Buster's Burger and Brew, Mariposa Market, Norspur Brewing Company, Willits Redwood RV, Double G Craft Jerky, Trillium Cat's Meow, Keith Bowden, Scott Riley, Max Garcia, and Mark McKee. The course you see in this video is a little bit different than the day-use layout normally featured at the Brooktrails Golf Course. I hope you enjoy this video and look forward to catching around with you out on the course. Hole 1 begins the round with a slightly downhill shot through the beautiful Redwood Grove at the Brooktrails Golf Course. Amando on the left-hand side keeps players moving down this tight 380-foot fairway with a low ceiling. A careful landing is required as any overthrown shot can hyzer out into the OB bunker left of the basket. This par 3 proved a challenging beginning to the course, averaging 3.19 for the weekend. Hole 2 was sadly removed from tournament at the last minute as it conflicted with access to a fire hydrant. Hole 3 begins our player's journey in the Old Grove Redwood Park adjacent to the Brooktrails Golf Course. A small window off the tee requires an accurate and careful shot 280 feet over luscious ferns and forest undergrowth. A river follows the left-hand side of the fairway, creeping closer and closer to the basket. An open green rewards anyone who hits their line cleanly, setting up for the easy birdie. This par 3 averaged 2.69, giving many players a taste of the birdie life. Hole 4 moves down a low-ceiling path, guided by a beautiful border. Branches and boulders cause many unpredictable kicks for those unable to keep it low and straight to the basket. This 320-foot hole offers a generous backstop into an old-growth fairy ring of redwoods. This par 3 averaged 2.81 strokes for the weekend. Hole 5 begins in an open field, throwing back into the edge of the Redwood Grove. A low ceiling protects this elevated basket with a very tricky putting green. Get under the curtain and you're looking to settle down close to another fairy ring of redwoods next to a steep hill. 315 feet off the tee, an old-growth stump sets this basket well above your head, with burned burls and redwood saplings blocking many lines to the birdie. This par 3 proved easier than it looks, with an average of 2.77 for the weekend. Hole 6 is the first of many beautiful par 4s on the course. Low-hanging branches can capture drives shortly off the tee. Getting past the low ceiling and into the small meadow sets up for the approach shot for birdie, but a shot too far can leave you cut off with small lines between redwood and fir saplings. The eagle may come into play on this 490-foot hole for those who can get the late hyzer skip into the final redwood guardian grove. The 2 eluded all players this weekend and came in at an average of 3.67. Hole 7 was a player favorite and brings in many OB features common on the Brooktrails Golf Course. A water crossing, ball golf green, and sand traps require players to decide between the careful placement shot around the green and the aggressive long shot to the second water crossing. Many redwood trees and water saplings make the long shot tricky, blocking most attackable lines to clear the second creek. The second shot is guarded by multiple second and third growth redwood trees with low hanging branches. This 510-foot par 4 was navigated fairly cleanly over the tournament, averaging 3.76 strokes. Hole 8 brings water into play again for the aggressive backhand birdie look over water and OB until the last moment of flight. Bad shots are punished with a tough drop zone, making the safe line appealing for most players. Here we fly the safer forehand line, which turns into a blind gap off the tee. The main goal is to find a way through the wall of redwoods, which catch many drives. Break through the trees and you'll find yourself with an open putting green, rewarding those who manage to find themselves inside 70 feet of the basket on this 380-foot par 3. This hole proved difficult for the open field, averaging 3.23 strokes for the weekend. A stretch of difficult Mando holes begins on hole 9. Uphill all the way to the basket, players aim to hit one of 3 lines between redwood trees to place a disc right of the late Mando tree, giving them access to the very dangerous putting green. The basket sits 360 feet off the tee and is guarded by low-hanging branches, OB lines, and a ball golf green. Even the seemingly innocent layup can spell disaster with too much power or a short rollaway. This par 3 found itself as the third hardest hole this weekend, averaging at 3.37 strokes for the open field. If one Mando wasn't enough, hole 10 offers a double Mando that is partially blind off the tee. A consistent slow drop in elevation makes this hole easy to overthrow, as players often disc up to make sure they get through the Mando, located roughly 180 feet off the tee. Totaling a distance of 290 feet, the basket sits atop a stump in the middle of another signature fairy ring, making players decide if they want to run it for the elusive birdie or play it safe and lay up to the elevated basket. Wrapping up the Mando section on hole 11 is a slight right turning uphill shot with a very late double Mando. Honoring the now late oak trees that once guarded this basket, green flags sit about 40 feet from the basket, funneling all drives and upshots into the putting circle. Coming in at 385 feet, this shot feels well over 400 feet, especially with the tight Mando flags whipping in the light winds weaving through the course. These Mandos proved a problem for the field, as the hole came in as the second hardest hole, with an average of 3.37 for the weekend. Hole 12 gave players a break, as the second easiest hole on the course during the tournament. This par 4 is mostly open as it moves uphill, with a ball golf green on the left side of the fairway near the ideal landing zone to attack the basket. Oak trees create a low ceiling or give players a rare chance to throw over the forest canopy to lock in the relatively easy birdie. This hole was a relief for many players who struggled through the Mando section and came in at over a half a stroke under par at 3.47 during the event. Hole 13 is a hole where players can really open up off the tee and show their distance. The fairway moves straight and mostly flat for 500 feet, making the big air shot or the roller a great option to attack the green. A sharp right turn up the hill reveals the basket tucked away with trouble left, right, and long. Most players are attacking for the birdie with a blind backhand turnover shot or the right-hand forehand to the basket. Miss your line by a little, and you'll find yourself cut off, scrambling to save par. We jumped back into a difficult section of the course with this par 4 coming in at 4.22 strokes. Hole 14 is like no other hole on the course. It begins with a 160-foot shot, aiming for a 30-foot landing zone where the fairway takes a sharp right turn. This 415-foot par 4 rewards any player who can carefully place each shot down the fairway. Danger looms on all sides, punishing almost any shot not thrown perfectly. Another 180-foot shot gets you to the small and easily cut off opening to the basket. 2 perfect shots will get you a putt for the elusive birdie on this very tough par 4, averaging 4.78 strokes as the hardest hole on the course. Hole 15 breathes a sign of relief for the survivors of that difficult stretch of the last 7 holes. Regroup and recover your focus with this short downhill par 3 coming in at 220 feet. Shaped perfectly for a right-hand forehand putter or mid-shot, this hole provides an opportunity for players to find a birdie again on this difficult layout. Coming in as the 5th easiest hole on the course at 2.73 strokes, this hole represented light at the end of the tunnel for many players looking to shoot under par for the round. Hole 16 includes a consistent tailwind coming off the Lake Emily Reservoir just across the road behind the tee pad. An open fairway leads to a gap between 2 stands of redwoods, where the hole makes a right turn down the hill towards the creek that winds through the course. The approach shot requires touch and placement underneath the elevated basket sitting on a mound with the creek bank behind the basket at circle's edge. This 435-foot hole played true to its par and came in at 3.96 stroke average for the weekend. Hole 17 follows one of the short ball golf holes on the course with an early creek crossing. A late right turn in the fairway avoids the ball golf green, which comes into play for the backhand turnover that fades out or flies too straight. The putting green is relatively open for those who can get a clean 370-foot shot to the basket. This par 3 also played true to its par, coming in at an average of 2.93 strokes for the weekend. The 3rd easiest hole on the course, hole 18 calls for a straight putter or mid-range shot 270 feet to the basket. The only real danger is the low ceiling on the left-hand side of the fairway, which can drop the disc onto the ball golf green about 100 feet off the tee. Looks like most players found a clean path to the basket, as this hole averaged 2.63 for the tournament. Hole 19 offers players a pretty straightforward fairway with very few obstacles to the basket. The difficulty level increases, with the basket located 400 feet from the tee pad on a steeply sloped putting green. Death putts and brutal rollaways are a high likelihood for many players who find themselves looking for the birdie on this hole. The ball golf green lingers in the background as brutal punishment to the worst rollaways of the missed attempts to get on this basket. This par 3 suffered many putting woes and came in at 3.24 for the weekend. Hole 20 is the first of the 2 shorties, sometimes included in tournament layouts at Brooktrails. This 160-foot shot is a must-get birdie for anyone seeking a hot round in this layout. Dreams can be made with a clean ace line to the basket, but the steep slope can be a disaster for discs that don't stick the landing and find themselves rolling away, or in worst-case scenario, finding the ball golf green at the base of the hill. This hole came in as the easiest hole on the course at 2.43 stroke average for the event. Hole 21 is the second dream ace line with a little more technicality. Also 160 feet and straight down the hill through the trees, this hole was aced twice during the tournament. Missing the ace line can spell disaster, with a steep drop-off right behind the basket and the creek lingering even further below. This par 3 came in as the third easiest hole at a 2.58 stroke average. Hole 22 requires a very specifically shaped right-hand backhand flex shot to get to the basket that is blind off the tee. An early tree kick brings a ball golf green into play on the left side of the fairway. Many shots end up with a scramble approach between multiple stumps and third-growth redwood trees to get the par save. Water rarely comes into play, but sits behind the basket for those who overthrow their second shot. This par 3 proved a challenge for many and came in averaging 3.22 strokes over the weekend. Hole 23 is a risk-reward shot as players make the turn to the final 3 holes. The birdie line requires a 380-foot plus shot over both creeks to get into an attackable position. If fatigue is setting in, OB quickly comes into play for a shot that falls short and lands in the creek to set you back to a drop zone located 450 feet away from the basket. Clear both creeks and your approach shot turns uphill, in between multiple redwood trees and a large old-growth stump. Rollaways off the hill on your second shot brings a green into play, punishing an already unlucky tree kick or rollout. The basket is located 610 feet off the tee and played fairly true to par, coming in at 4.08 strokes for the weekend. Hole 24 is a short putter shot downhill through many trees and out to a basket just behind one of the Brooktrails Golf Course signature fairy rings. An early tree kick can spell disaster with a ball golf green located on the left side of the tight fairway. Make it down the hill clean off the tee pad and you are left to navigate a putt through or around the fairy ring to secure the birdie. This par 3 255-foot shot came in at 2.79 stroke average for the weekend. Hole 25 is one of the signature holes at Brooktrails and serves as our finishing hole. This 680-foot downhill hole lets players open up and let out any last bits of energy saved up for the grand finale. The approach shot navigates a ball golf green on the right side of the fairway. Keep your speed in check because just behind the basket, it slopes down to the water's edge. Spectators watch from the clubhouse as the entire event comes down to the wire and the final putt decides a winner. This hole is home of the famous Lewis Bitney Eagle to take the lead in the 2016 Redwood Triangle. This weekend, this par 4 came in at 3.83 strokes. Thank you all for listening and watching the course overview and tournament recap for the 2021 Brooktrails Open. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you out on the course at the beautiful Brooktrails Golf Course.